A portal trembles above your path, Taurus, and a forgotten vibration is rising through your destiny. Have you felt the air shift at dawn? Have old memories resurfaced like codes asking to be decoded? Have you sensed a truth approaching but hidden behind silence? Because this month, an ancient activation unfolds, one Nostradamus called the return of the veiled crown. A revelation long delayed begins to pulse inside your frequency, guiding your soul toward a forgotten key. And just when you think you understand what's happening, January 2026 will reveal the truth 8 years tried to hide. What if everything you thought you understood about the last 8 years was only a fragment of the real story? What if the losses you carried in silence, the sudden shifts, the strange coincidences that made no sense at the time, were actually part of a hidden design sculpting your path? And what if this January, right now, a revelation long buried beneath the noise of your routine begins to rise like a forgotten star, reclaiming its place in the sky? Taurus, something ancient has been stirring beneath your life, something you felt in whispers, in dreams, in the pressure behind your ribs when you woke before sunrise, without knowing why. Something subtle, yet undeniable, like the soft rumble of the earth before a tectonic shift. And perhaps you have been wondering, why now? Why do I feel this inner pull, as if my soul knows something that my mind cannot yet put into words? Because January 2026 is not just a new month. It is the first month after the great unraveling, the first breath after 8 years of spiritual tension, cosmic instruction, and relentless awakening. The cycle of Uranus in your sign, a cycle that dismantled everything built on false security, is in its final echo. And this echo carries a message meant only for you. For 8 long years you stood inside a storm that few truly understood. To the outside world, it looked like you were enduring obstacles, changes, interruptions. But in the deeper layers of your timeline, something more profound was occurring. The blueprint of your destiny was being rewritten from the ground up. You were not losing stability. You were being trained for a sovereignty you could not yet embody. And now, with January's sky shifting into a new frequency, pieces of that truth begin to rise from the dark soil like roots that finally break through to find the sun. Look back for a moment, not with regret, but with the quiet vision of someone finally seeing the pattern beneath the chaos. How many times did something leave your life abruptly? A relationship, a job, a plan, only for you to later realize that the disappearance created space for something more aligned. How many times were you pushed to take a path you resisted, only to discover that your resistance was fear, not truth? How many times did your intuition whisper, "This doesn't belong to you anymore," but you held on because you believed endurance was loyalty? Taurus, hear me clearly. January is the month when the real reason for all those moments begins to reveal itself. There are revelations that come through thunder, and there are revelations that arrive quietly, slipping into your awareness like a key that has been turning in a lock for years, and only now clicks open the door. This month is the second kind, a soft, inevitable awakening, a clarity that cannot be denied, a truth that 8 years tried to hide so you could grow into the version of yourself capable of receiving it. You are standing at the threshold of a revelation that was delayed, not because you weren't worthy, but because you weren't ready. There is a profound difference. January brings a vibration that feels like a soft pressure behind the heart, the sensation of breath deepening without your permission, the feeling that something inside you is organizing itself into a shape you have not yet met. This is not imagination. This is the return of your inner authority, the restoration of your true center, the beginning of a sovereignty that was dormant beneath layers of survival, responsibility, and unspoken longing. Ask yourself, Taurus, why have you been remembering things you thought you had healed? Why have certain names resurfaced in dreams? Why have you felt compelled to revisit the past, not with pain, but with curiosity? Why do places you once tolerated now feel unbearably small? as if your soul is pressing against walls that were once enough, because you are outgrowing your former self. And when the soul expands beyond the limits of the past, everything tightens: the body, the habits, the relationships, the routines, until the truth that has been hiding begins to rise. This month unveils that truth. January 2026 marks a cosmic correction, a moment when what was once concealed becomes visible, not in a dramatic strike of fate, but in a quiet certainty, in a realization that rearranges the interior of your being like a constellation shifting into its rightful pattern. A message is forming in your field, Taurus. You feel it even if you cannot name it yet. It is the sensation of something aligning, a recognition, a remembering, a return. And as this hidden truth rises, you will begin to notice something else. The exhaustion you've been carrying from the past 8 years is not just fatigue. It is the weight of lessons you have finally completed. A curriculum that taught you resilience, clarity, boundaries, intuition, and the sacred art of not betraying yourself. You are not stepping into a new chapter. You are stepping into a new identity. One that does not seek approval. One that does not chase stability in the wrong places. One that no longer confuses endurance with self-sacrifice. One that does not negotiate its worth. This is the version of you that the last 8 years were shaping in secret. And this January, that version awakens. Your crown, the one that was held in suspension, held in waiting, held in protection, begins to return. Not as arrogance, but as recognition. Not as dominance, but as alignment. Not as status, but as truth. By the end of January, a moment of clarity will arrive, a moment so precise, so unmistakably yours, that it will feel like destiny finally speaking without distortion. You will know exactly what must stay, what must end, and what must begin. And for the first time in years, you will trust your own knowing. The truth that 8 years tried to hide returns now. If this first part resonated with you, anchor this energy by writing the following decree in the comments. I rise into the truth that belongs to me now. Let this decree seal your awakening. Call back your power and open the path that January has prepared for your soul. Trust that the universe is already responding to your clarity. And if this message touched your spirit, leave your hype on this video. Like, share, comment, and if your heart feels aligned, become a member of the channel. Every hype you share strengthens this energy, helps this space grow, and extends this light to other souls who need it. Taurus, let me ask you something that perhaps no one has ever dared to ask you directly. What if the stability you've been craving is already here, but your eyes aren't adjusted to its light yet? And what if this month, quietly, subtly, persistently, the earth beneath your feet begins to whisper the name you had forgotten, your own? Because as January deepens, a shift begins to move inside your field, not like a single revelation, but like a slow, inevitable awakening of the ground beneath you. It feels like clarity arriving drip by drip, rearranging how you see your past, your future, and the self that stands between them. You may have noticed it already in the small, almost invisible ways, a sigh that releases more than air, a sudden resistance to what once felt comfortable, a strange tenderness rising when you consider your own needs, or maybe the quiet realization that you've been carrying more than your share and your soul is finally asking, why? This is the month when the earth, your element, opens a memory for you. Not a memory of childhood or past relationships or old dreams, but a memory of essence, a memory of who you were before the world taught you to compress yourself into survival. And this memory is powerful enough to reshape your direction. Taurus, have you noticed that certain things you tolerated for years now feel unbearable? Have conversations that once felt harmless started leaving a heaviness in your chest? Have you caught yourself withdrawing from people or dynamics that used to anchor you? Why do you think that is? Because your soul is no longer willing to bargain with discomfort disguised as loyalty. And when a fixed Earth sign reaches this threshold, this moment of existential clarity, everything in its life begins to reorganize. Not chaotically, not violently, but with a precision that feels almost divine. January is doing this to you. Like a farmer preparing the winter soil for new roots, the universe is loosening the ground beneath the structures that no longer support your growth, not to destabilize you, but to give your future something fertile to rise from. Let me ask you another question. Why did you always assume that endurance was your greatest gift? Why did you believe that holding on, longer, harder, quieter, was the path to security? And what if enduring was never meant to be your identity, only your temporary armor? Because Taurus, as gentle as your heart is, you learn to protect yourself by becoming stone, not cold stone, sacred stone, the kind that supports others, the kind that absorbs pressure, the kind that never asks for relief. But January is asking the question you've avoided for years. Who supports the one who supports everyone? It is a question that spirals into the core of your being, shaking loose answers you may not be ready to face, but they are rising anyway, because this month does not allow you to pretend that you don't need rest, nourishment, reciprocity, and alignment. Your soul is not built for self-neglect. Your heart is not built for emotional drought. Your spirit is not built for silence where truth is required. And if you keep forcing yourself into spaces where your essence cannot breathe, January will push you out of them, not as punishment, but as liberation. This is the moment when the universe intervenes on your behalf, because you have exhausted your own capacity to justify what drains you. And let me be very clear, this intervention is not gentle. It is precise. Something, a conversation, a realization, a moment, a truth, will reveal itself in a way that leaves you no room to retreat into old patterns. It will be unmistakably clear, undeniably timely, and deeply aligned with your readiness to transform. You may feel it coming already. There is an energy circling your field that feels like a quiet knock at a locked door. There is a name or situation that keeps resurfacing in your mind, not to haunt you, but to be resolved. There is an inner tightening around a part of your life that you instinctively know cannot be carried into your next chapter. Why now? Why January? Why this exact moment? Because the Earth remembers cycles more accurately than the human mind. And the cycle you just completed, those 8 intense years, required a spiritual exhale before the truth could surface. And that truth is rising. Picture this. The ground beneath a forest shifts slowly, almost invisibly, over years. Then one morning, after thousands of tiny movements, a new path appears where none existed before. It didn't arrive suddenly. It simply became visible. That is what your awakening feels like right now. The path was always there. Your soul was always guiding you. Your intuition was always whispering. You just needed the storm to end before you could see the direction clearly. January is the clearing after the storm. And with the clearing comes a revelation, a moment of recognition so exact, so undeniable, that it alters the way you understand everything that happened over the past 8 years. You may find yourself remembering moments differently, realizing that someone who left was protecting your destiny, not injuring it, noticing that a rejection was actually a redirection, seeing that a delay was a blessing in disguise. This is the month where clarity becomes a companion, not a stranger. And here is the deeper truth. January 2026 is not just offering you clarity, it is offering you restoration. Restoration of confidence, restoration of direction, restoration of identity, restoration of self-respect, restoration of boundaries you let erode for peace that never came, restoration of dreams you buried because life demanded your pragmatism. The earth remembers everything you planted, every sacrifice, every act of love, every moment of patience, every time you held a burden that was not yours. And now the earth, your element, is returning the harvest. But before the harvest can fully emerge, something must be acknowledged. You cannot receive the truth if you are still gripping the illusion. That is why January feels like a slow, steady unraveling. Not chaotic, not painful, just inevitable. Like thawing ice, like a door unlocking, like breath returning to a chest that forgot how to expand. This is the month when you begin to understand yourself again. And once you do, everything around you must shift to match the truth rising inside you. Your standards, your relationships, your financial direction, your emotional boundaries, your sense of worth, your willingness to choose yourself without apology. Let me leave you with one final question for now, one that will echo throughout the rest of January. If the earth is finally giving you permission to grow, will you allow yourself to follow that growth? Because growth is not comfortable, but it is necessary, and it is calling your name. Taurus, have you ever felt the air shift before something important happens? Not a breeze, not a temperature change, but a subtle tightening in the atmosphere, as if reality itself is taking a breath before speaking. This is exactly where you stand now, in the silent inhale of the universe, moments before an unspoken truth becomes visible. And the deeper you move into January, the more undeniable this sensation becomes. Something in your life is preparing to reveal itself, not as a shock, not as chaos, but as a long-awaited answer that has been circling you for months, maybe years. Let me ask you something. Why do you think you've been more sensitive to signs lately? Why have your dreams become sharper, more symbolic, more vivid? Why do certain memories reappear out of nowhere as if tapping you on the shoulder? Because your subconscious is trying to synchronize with what your soul already knows. A hidden door is opening. Every Taurus reaches a moment when the inner self refuses to remain asleep, and everything inside you begins to whisper, "Something is coming, something meant for me." This isn't paranoia. This isn't imagination. This is alignment. January is not simply guiding you toward clarity, it is directing you toward an event, a revelation, a crossroads that will require your whole presence. And this crossroads comes with a question you can no longer avoid. Are you willing to hear the truth if it disrupts the stories you've been using to protect yourself? Because Taurus, the truth that has been circling you, is not gentle, it is not passive, and it is not a half answer. It is a full revelation, the kind that rearranges the architecture of your understanding. This is the kind of truth that arrives like a light shining under a door that has been locked for years. You see it. You feel it. You know something is on the other side, but you hesitate. Why? What are you protecting? Your comfort or your identity, your stability or your potential? January brings a frequency that doesn't tolerate hesitation for long. When the universe holds a door open, it does not wait forever. And as this door opens for you, Taurus, everything you've carried, the pain, the fear, the loyalty, the doubt, begins to shift toward a single point of understanding. Let me paint this moment for you, because it is not metaphorical. It is literal, energetic, and imminent. Soon, very soon, something in your life will click. A phrase someone says, a message you receive, a silence you cannot ignore, a pattern you suddenly recognize, and in that moment everything aligns. Your past, your intuition, your resilience, your wounds, your soul. You will see what these 8 years were preparing you for. But before you reach that point of clarity, January asks you to sit with a question that is both uncomfortable and necessary. What truth have you been avoiding because you feared what it would change? Is it a truth about a relationship, about your work, about your body, about your purpose, about your emotions that you swallowed for the sake of keeping peace? Or is it a truth about the person you are becoming? A person you no longer recognize because the old version of you no longer fits? This question is the key that unlocks the hidden door. And once it opens, Taurus, you cannot return to who you were. Let me tell you why this is happening now, in January 2026. Because the astrology of this month is sculpting a spiritual crossroads specifically for Taurus. The Earth is shifting under you. Your ruler, Venus, is activating a new storyline. Mars is exposing desires you buried under practicality. And Uranus, the planet that disrupted your life for 8 years, is preparing its final bow, leaving behind the echo of one last piece of truth. A truth you must see before you step into your new era. But here is the deeper layer, the one most people will never understand about themselves. You are not just discovering a truth, you are reclaiming a part of your identity that was fractured by circumstances you never fully processed. This is why you feel emotional without reason. This is why your body feels restless. This is why your intuition is louder. This is why certain people feel distant while others feel strangely significant. This is why you wake with a sense that something is shifting even before you know what it is. Your soul is reorganizing itself. Taurus, what if the stability you've been seeking isn't lost? It's simply being rebuilt. What if the path you thought collapsed was merely clearing space for a better one? What if the closure you've been waiting for is finally approaching, not from others, but from your own readiness? Let me show you something hidden beneath the surface of your life right now. There is a conversation you need to have with yourself, not with someone else. There is a boundary you need to set, not out of anger, but out of truth. There is a decision you've postponed, not because you're confused, but because you didn't feel safe to act. And there is a calling you've been resisting, not because you don't want it, but because you fear what it demands of you. This is what January illuminates, not with pain, not with punishment, but with inevitability. The truth is unavoidable because the path ahead depends on it. And here is the mystery that unfolds as this truth rises. Someone or something else is watching your evolution, a presence, a guide, an ancestor, a memory, a future version of you. Something wise, something old, something loving stands behind this door, waiting for the moment you step through. You've felt this presence, haven't you? In the chills, in the signs, in the numbers repeating, in the sudden insight that came from nowhere. In the quiet comfort you feel, even in your confusion. Because you are not navigating this alone. And that is why the revelation coming in January is not something you need to fear. It is something that will liberate you from a weight you've been carrying in silence for far too long. Soon, and you will know the moment, something will shift in your awareness so quickly and so clearly that the confusion you've been living with for years finally dissolves. And what replaces it is conviction. Conviction in your path. Conviction in your worth. Conviction in your future. Conviction in your identity. And this realization is the first step through the hidden door. Let me ask you one final question before this part ends. Are you ready to see the truth that has been waiting for you, even if it changes everything you thought was stable? Because that truth is already approaching, and this time, Taurus, you will not turn away. Taurus, let me ask you something that only a soul standing at the threshold of transformation can truly understand. Have you begun to feel the quiet strength returning to you, the kind that doesn't shout, but simply exists, undeniable and sovereign? Because January is not only revealing truth, it is rebuilding you. There is a moment in every awakening when the heart shifts from ache to authority. You can feel the difference in your breath. You can sense it in the way you look at situations that once overwhelmed you. You can hear it in the silence that no longer feels empty, but purposeful. And for you, Taurus, that moment is arriving now. Not in a single flash of insight, but in a series of small, persistent realizations that shape themselves into a new identity. But let us ask the question that lies beneath all the others. Why did the universe need 8 years to prepare you for this? Why couldn't this clarity have come earlier? Why did every step feel delayed, heavy, or wrapped in challenges that others seemed to escape? Because you were not learning a lesson, you were becoming someone new, and that transformation, the transformation of a fixed earth soul, is not something the universe rushes. You were being shaped, slowly, deliberately, into someone who could carry truth without collapsing, someone who could hold boundaries without guilt, someone who could say, "No more," not as rebellion, but as self-recognition. January reveals the beginning of that person. Let me ask you something personal now, something you may have avoided even in the privacy of your thoughts. Are you aware of how much you've outgrown? Look around your life. Look at the relationships. Look at the roles you've been performing without joy. Look at the responsibilities you accepted because no one else would. Look at the spaces where your spirit feels too large, too compressed, too dimmed. Why does it all feel different now? Why is your patience thinner? Why is your heart more honest? Why is your body rejecting what your mind has tolerated? Because your soul refuses to shrink again. And this is the truth 8 years tried to hide from you. You were never meant to stay small. You were never meant to be the stabilizer for everyone else's chaos. You were never meant to carry burdens that were not yours. You were never meant to sacrifice your identity to maintain peace. Peace built on self-abandonment is not peace. It is exhaustion. And exhaustion is what January is dissolving. Let me give you a vision, one that will mirror the transformation you are stepping into. Imagine the earth cracking open after a long winter, not violently, not destructively, but naturally, inevitably. Soft light rising through the fractures, a seed becoming more than it was allowed to be, roots expanding where they once suffocated, a structure breaking because it can no longer contain the growth beneath it. This is you. This is your January. This is your re-emergence after 8 years of internal restructuring. But here is something most people will never understand. When Taurus evolves, the entire environment shifts with them. You are not a transient sign, you are a builder, a foundation, a stabilizing force. So when your inner world changes, everything around you must be recalibrated. And that recalibration is happening now. People in your life may behave differently. Some will soften, some will resist, some will drift away, some will suddenly become overly attentive. Why? Because they can feel the shift in your energy before you fully claim it. Your presence has changed. Your boundaries have changed. Your tolerance has changed. Your demands, unspoken but powerful, have changed. And with these changes comes a gravitational effect on the people and circumstances around you. This is why conversations feel more revealing. This is why certain people seem confused by your silence. This is why a few individuals sense they are losing access to you. Even if you haven't said a word, your soul is reclaiming territory. But with this reclamation comes another question, a question the universe is placing directly in front of you. What are you willing to release so that you can rise? Is it a person, a habit, a belief, a responsibility that was never yours? A version of yourself that lived for survival instead of purpose? January is a month of release, not because you are breaking, but because you are ascending. And as you ascend, the truth becomes louder. Some people were never meant to walk with the newest version of you. Some situations were only meant to shape you, not follow you. Some fears were only present to teach you courage. Some dreams were too small for who you were becoming. And this realization doesn't come with sadness. It comes with clarity. But what happens after clarity, after the truth, after the awakening? Strength, not the loud strength of action, the quiet strength of alignment. This is the strength that January delivers to you, the strength to walk away without guilt, the strength to choose yourself without apology, the strength to speak truth without fear, the strength to rest without needing permission, the strength to stop chasing what was never meant for you, the strength to allow what is meant for you to arrive without force. Do you see it now? Do you understand the power you are stepping into? Do you feel the return of the self you lost, not in pieces, but in wholeness? Because this is not just growth, it is reclamation. Let me ask you something deeper, something that will matter greatly in the coming weeks. When the universe places a new opportunity before you, will you choose it, or will you cling to what feels familiar? because what is familiar is not always what is destined, and what is destined rarely arrives in comfort. Your comfort zone is collapsing, not to punish you, but to free you. January is offering you a key you earned, a key you are ready for, a key that unlocks a door you were once too afraid to open. And behind that door waits the version of you that the last 8 years sculpted in silence. Let me end this part with a truth you need to hear. Your life will not return to what it was. It will become what it was meant to be. Taurus, let me begin with a question that holds the weight of everything you've experienced, everything you've survived, and everything you are stepping into. What if the moment you've been waiting for, consciously or not, has already begun? Not tomorrow, not next month, not at some distant point in your future, but now, right now, in the quiet rearrangement of your thoughts, in the pressure behind your ribs that feels like awakening, in the strange sense of readiness that you cannot explain. Because January 2026 marks the month when the truth 8 years tried to hide finally rises to the surface, and with it, something long denied, something long suppressed, something long overdue, your rightful power, your inner throne, your crown. But here's the truth that few understand. A crown is not placed on a bowed head. It is placed on the head of someone who finally dares to look up. And that is what this month asks of you. Not confidence, not perfection, not certainty, just willingness. Willingness to raise your chin. Willingness to face what calls you. Willingness to see yourself without the distortions of fear, history, or self-doubt. But before I reveal the final insight of this prophecy, you must understand the terrain you are now walking on. Your life is entering what mystics call the threshold sequence. A sacred period where the outer world begins to align with the inner transformation that has already taken place. During this time, signs intensify, synchronicities multiply, hidden truths surface, the past releases you, and the future begins to whisper through doors you haven't yet opened. Have you noticed it? That pull in your intuition, that sudden sensitivity to certain people, that almost magnetic attraction to new possibilities, that quiet but potent refusal to tolerate old dynamics. Why now? Why all at once? Why does everything feel like it's shifting, even when nothing visible has changed yet? Because your frequency has risen before your circumstances. The energy changes first. The reality follows. This is spiritual law. And Taurus, your energy changed. The moment you stopped apologizing for needing peace. The moment you stopped chasing clarity from others and began listening to your own. The moment you released the illusion that loyalty means self-sacrifice. The moment you whispered in the privacy of your spirit, "No more pretending, I choose truth." That is when the shift began. And now, the universe must respond. Let me ask you something you may not have dared to articulate. Why does January feel strangely prophetic? Why does it feel like something is approaching, even if you don't know what it is? Why do you sense movement behind the veil, a rearranging of future events already in motion? Because something is approaching, a moment of revelation, a moment of confirmation, a moment of recognition. It will arrive in a form uniquely tailored to your timeline. A message, a conversation, a decision, a realization, a sudden clarity that cuts through months or years of uncertainty. When it happens, you will feel it not in your mind but in your body, a shift in the chest, a stillness in the spine, a sense of, yes, this is it. And from that point forward, your life will move with a different momentum. But Taurus, before that moment arrives, there is one more secret the universe needs you to see, a truth that will determine whether the next chapter expands or collapses. You cannot ascend while dragging what belongs to the past. Not out of guilt, not out of nostalgia, not out of fear, not out of obligation. The path narrows before it widens. January is asking you to make choices with the wisdom of who you have become, not with the memories of who you once were. So let me ask you a series of questions that will clarify your direction. Who drains you, even in silence? Who energizes you, even without trying? What responsibilities feel like chains? What desires feel like destiny? What truth have you swallowed for years that is finally rising to your tongue? What version of yourself are you ready to outgrow? And most importantly, what future calls your name so clearly that pretending not to hear it feels impossible? Because that calling, that whisper, that pull is not coincidence. It is the voice of your next life. But here is the revelation, the final piece, the truth that 8 years of disruption were leading you toward. You were never being punished. You were being prepared to own your voice, prepared to honor your intuition, prepared to break patterns passed down through generations, prepared to recognize your worth without external confirmation, prepared to stop abandoning yourself in the name of peace, prepared to receive what was always yours, but required a stronger version of you to hold. Taurus, everything that left your life made space for this. Everything that hurt you refined this. Everything that confused you shaped this. Everything that exhausted you trained this. Everything that tested you polished this. And now that you stand in the opening of January's cosmic gate, the universe asks a single question. Will you finally rise into the life that was meant for you? Because if you do, your crown returns. Not in fantasy, not in metaphor, but in energy, authority, and alignment. You become someone unshakable, someone undeniable, someone aligned with the blueprint of their soul, someone who no longer lives by the rules of survival, but by the rhythm of destiny. And destiny, Taurus, has been waiting 8 years to place this moment in your hands. This is the month the truth reveals itself. This is the month something old ends. This is the month something profound begins. This is the month you reclaim your throne. The crown returns when you lift your head. Lift it now.